Good evening, everyone. This is Christian Kirasevich. I'm the founder of Social Chefs. I got my buddy, my co-host, Mr. Vincent Orlek, over here with me today. For those of you who have been on our Blabs before, we used to do these on Friday, and we have transitioned them to Thursday evenings because we know that a lot of you, we've had a lot of people requesting, hey, I want to be able to make these. I want to, have questions, or I want to, talk to you guys. And, so we figure we'll try doing Thursday nights, see how that goes. And if that doesn't work, we can go about switching it around again. But for now, it's going to be Thursday nights at 5 p.m. And so I wanted to start off by giving you all just a couple of links here to kind of help you guys. Basically, this is my Twitter handle. This is the Social Chefs Twitter handle. We've got Mr. Vincent Orlek. So if you have any questions in the middle of anything, you can just let us know. You can either tweet us. You can also use the hashtag social chatter. And also you can put them in the sidebar by, typing /Q, I think, Vincent?
Yes.
And that way they will show up for us. And, and I want to kind of give you guys, we're kind of in a way doing almost like a reboot of the show. So basically what our aim is, it's to give you basically practical tips on social media marketing. So basically, what a lot of times ends up happening is people go, all these new features, all these new updates are coming out, and you don't have time to learn all this stuff. So what Vincent and I are doing is we're learning it for you, and then bring it to you here on Blab so that we can talk about it and figure out how it is useful for you as a business owner. Because again, the whole goal is kind of it's not just great, I know how to do this feature on Facebook. It's how do I apply that to my business? How do I potentially make money off of it, and so forth. And so with that, we're going to give you 3 pieces of news from the past week and 3 tools as well. By the way, I do want to also say welcome to my buddy, Mr. Stan Bush. Thank you very much for joining. Glad to see you on here.
What's up, bud?
So with that, I want to actually start off with this week's tips, and this week's news. So and by the way, if you have any questions, just let us know. So topic number 1 we wanted to talk about was Twitter first few ads. And you probably are going to notice a little bit of theme here today because there's a lot of news about ads and having to pay to get placement for social. So topic number 1 is Twitter first few ads. And basically what this is, it is a way for you to pay to show up first in someone's newsfeed. And you're probably thinking, well, hey, what about just using promoted tweets and things like that? This is pretty cool because basically it's going to limit the number of spots that are available. It's also going to be only using video at the moment. So Twitter's kind of trying to get people to, put more engaging content out there as opposed to text tweets. So as a business owner, how does this impact you? Well, for starters, it's, I would recommend if you don't have a budget yet for any sort of Twitter ads, you probably want to start setting one, or at least start, putting some money aside. They have not talked about how much these things are going to cost. Because again, basically what you're doing is you're paying Twitter to get, for a 24-hour period, to get your content at the top of someone's newsfeed when they log in. So what are your thoughts on this, Mr. Vincent Orlek? What do you think?
Would
you pay for this? I mean, let's talk about that.
Echo on your side. I can hear
really?
It. Yeah. Would I pay for it? Depends on what kind of company I was and what kind of budget I had. Right now they're not making it available for quite everybody yet. You have to have an account manager and all that. And so while they're rolling it out, we'll start to see the bigger companies. And I know that it mentioned they're focusing on entertainment, the entertainment world. So for that, they're going to, I think you're going to see a lot of movies, like trailers, celebrities being focused on that sort of a thing. You're not going to see the small business really jump in because they don't have it offered to them quite yet. But I think in the future, if it is, that's going to be great. But it's not going to be cheap. It's never going to be cheap. It's going to be a premium ad spot. So I don't know. As far as the small business, I don't quite know where it'll go in the future. But certainly for the bigger brands,
right,
it'll be a big deal.
And this actually reminds me of, and it's funny, we talked about this thing a couple weeks ago. We talked about how on Facebook, when you logged out of Facebook, you had a major brand typically advertising something to you, almost like having a little landing page or something.
Mm-hmm.
And that was actually, it's pretty fascinating. So this is almost very similar to that, I think, in the fact that, it's a little different, I guess, because you're getting placement in front of certain users versus having it when somebody logs out, they're seeing something specific. But, I think that's a good point. I mean, if you're a small business, you may want to be thinking about this. It's not something that, like, as you mentioned, it's not something that's available to everyone at the moment. But I think this is, again, part of Twitter's transition plan. Their plan to get more people back on Twitter. Now, I think the one thing that I would love to hear from the audience here, is if I am using Twitter, am I actually checking my Twitter stream, or am I like using a dashboard, or things like that? Because most of the time I'm just going to ignore a lot of sort of paid media on Twitter. At least that's at least typically what I do. When I log in, I see somebody paying to advertise. So, anybody that's here, what do you think?
There are ads on Twitter. I see promoted ads that are ones that I sometimes am interested in. There's a bunch of times where I'm tempted to retweet it, even though it's an ad. That does happen from time to time, more so than I am likely to share an ad on Facebook, let's say.
Right.
And Natalie, welcome in to the Blab. I guess our accent is American, but it's all over the place because, well, we're both East Coast guys, but I'm living on the West Coast in Arizona. Christian is in the DC area, right?
Yep.
So, but I don't know that you can really have an accent, at least what I would consider an accent here in the States.
Right.
But she was asking that. And happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. That's why I'm wearing all this green crap today. It's St. Patrick's Day. What's up, Ben?
And I don't have my green, by the way, but this is happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody.
A lot of accents. Yeah, a couple different accents. I probably still have my New England accent from Rhode Island, which is a mix of New York and Boston. For those that have not been to Providence before. Russia, yeah. Well, we have Switzerland, we have Russia. I saw Ben Livermore's in here. That's currently based in Brazil. At least that's what it says on your profile, Ben. So looks like we've got a lot of people from all over the place right now.
Very awesome. So topic number. So I'm going to keep moving on, by the way, because we got lots of good stuff. So topic number one, just talked about it. This is Twitter. They're called Twitter First View ads. Basically, they're a way for you to pay to have basically top billing for 24 hours on Twitter. So at the moment, as Vincent mentioned, it's not open to all businesses. So if you're a small business, it might be something you want to think about. Hey, should I consider paying for ads on Twitter? There are certain ones that are very, they work very well. For instance, if you're doing ones to build up an email list and things like that, those work really well. Twitter cards, basically. But if you're, going to pay for placement just to get your, basically get your name out there, you probably want to make sure you have a really rock solid tweet that you're putting out there that people are going to, find engaging, and that you actually have a decent sized following, because there's no sense in wasting money on something that is not going to necessarily get you much return on it. So with that, I'm going to move on to topic number two. Topic number two is we're sticking sort of with advertising here, talking about promoted pins for Pinterest. And this is actually this actually came out last week, basically. So previously, when you were using promoted pins on Pinterest, it was only available to a select group of advertisers. Basically, it was available to the people who were, what's the word I'm looking for, Vincent? Basically, it was only available to people who were, that had big budgets. Typically your
that have an account manager or something.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what this is actually going to do is they're actually opening this up to all SMBs. So that means if you're a small business, you're going to be able to get into Twitter ads. So there's Twitter ads. You're going to be able to get into Pinterest Ads Manager, basically track the success of pins that you promote on Twitter and see how they're doing. I find this, one thing I do want to actually kind of ask you about this, and everyone in the audience who's watching, if I am, now I find the approach that Pinterest has taken and Instagram, for instance, with advertising, I find it very interesting because it's different from how Facebook ads rolled out and how Twitter ads rolled out. they rolled out and pretty much everyone could kind of get in, everybody could get involved with it. But then with Pinterest or Instagram, you had to have an account manager, and it typically had a very high minimum amount that you had to spend. So, it's just a very interesting approach. What are your thoughts on that one, Vincent?
Well, they can be effective. I mean, certainly Pinterest is a viable ad platform. I would easily put it ahead of Twitter,
right?
For effectiveness and bang for your buck, depending on maybe the business and the audience that you're trying to reach. Facebook is still the tops, but Pinterest, the targeting on Pinterest is closer to what Facebook offers than what Twitter can provide, I think, and the not evergreenness, but the way that a Pinterest ad can last,
right? The
endurance of an ad on Pinterest, just because if someone sees that and pins it, multiple people pin it, it's not just going to disappear.
Right.
It's on people's boards, and it's being pinned by other people when they see it. So it does have the potential, if it's good enough quality content, it does have the potential to be not viral. I'm never going to use that word, but it has the potential to be seen more so than you may think. It's not just going to go out to the initial people that you target. It could definitely go out to more because of their networks and them pinning it and repinning it and all that. And then it's driving traffic to a website. Depending on what you're doing it, how you're doing it, it's driving traffic to your website. It's driving traffic to an online store. There's all kinds of reasons that you would run an ad on Pinterest. And the fact this is way bigger of a deal for SMBs, for small to medium-sized businesses, than let's say the Twitter first view right now, because it's immediately open to them now. And if you're trying to reach especially a female audience age-wise, 25 to 54, let's say, if you're trying to reach teachers, if you're trying to reach moms, if you're trying to reach the wedding demographic, brides to be, or parents of brides to be, all that's just a small sampling of who you'd want to target, or who you could target on Pinterest with ads, where I think it could be really effective.
Absolutely. So if I'm if I'm a small business, I definitely want to take advantage of this, and I am going to actually put a link in here to a guide that is also available here from Pinterest on promoting pins. So they have a guide that gives you all the instructions you would need to set these things up. I want to make sure, again, we want to make sure we give you value. So, every week, Vince and I kind of go through all the topics that we have, and we try to pull out things that are going to be relevant for you as a business owner, or if you work with other businesses, because really, okay, great. Like if, for instance, if Facebook released a new profile feature, who cares? Like, unless that profile feature has a business purpose to it, because again, it's not just about personal connections and great to have a neat little feature or something. So I'm excited about this. I recommend everybody give this a try. But I want to thank everybody who's joined so far. We've got a lot of good people on here. So with that, I'm going to keep moving here. By the way, if somebody asked about Instagram, and that is a great question. Instagram, and this is actually probably going to be one of the main topics that everyone is going to be probably talking about, I think. So Instagram is testing a new algorithmic feed. Basically, okay, so let's put it this way. If I go to Facebook right now, and remember Facebook owns Instagram, but if I go to Facebook and I log in and I go to my news feed, what kinds of things do I see? I typically am only going to see things that are that basically Facebook thinks that I should see based on my interactions with things that I like, things that I'm engaging with, and so forth. And so Instagram is actually changing up, or they're talking about changing up, which I assume they are going to. They're changing up their feed to where instead of just seeing stuff as it happens, you're going to have an algorithmic feed basically where you are seeing things based on things that they think you should see. So basically, they're going to a Facebook model. And as a business owner, this is going to be really fascinating. I think that, and I want to hear from every single person on here, but I think that, I expect Facebook to do, or Instagram to do this over time, because Facebook, owns them, and they've kind of been moving towards that direction, by integrating Instagram ads into Facebook Power Editor. In this case, now by working with your news feed, by showing, for instance, counts on how many people are seeing things on your Instagram updates and so forth. So I think at some point we might see everything kind of probably mesh together a little bit better. But so that's a third topic for today, which is Instagram's new algorithmic feed. Good or bad? What are your thoughts? And Vincent,
yeah. Get back. It's going to be similar to Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're all assuming that, and it's going to allow you to see your friends' things first, as opposed to the chronological order. A lot of people are against it already, which to me is just, I don't know, it's kind of funny. I mean, the outrage that people have over things like this, especially, even though it's not Facebook, it's Facebook related because Facebook owns Instagram. And I don't know that it's that big of a deal. I mean, it is in the way that you use Instagram. It's going to be totally different, right?
Right.
But if they didn't announce it, how many people, I wonder, would even notice that it changed from chronological to, I mean, they might notice if they start to see more from someone that they follow. But honestly, even right now when it's chronological, I see like 3 or 4 in a row from the same person, because they posted all these images that quickly. So I would wonder how many people would even notice if they didn't announce it. And this actually, it comes on the heels too of them making that small change, right? That small change recently where they now show you when an Instagram was posted.
Mm-hmm.
So now it gives you the date. So that makes sense that they did that, and now they're going to do this. It's a obvious tie-in now that we know that this is happening. And I just really quick want to touch on Ben's question I just put up there. For Pinterest ads, the content to use, it's always going to be whatever's visually appealing, really solid visual. That's really the main key. There's not a whole lot much more to that. Infographics, people love infographics on Pinterest. I know I go on there a lot of times for infographics. I know a lot of people do that type of content, informational content, but presented in a visually appealing manner. Same thing with other pictures of like furniture and rooms and arts and crafts and all those things. Videos even work well. So anything that's really visually appealing. So I just wanted to make sure we address Ben's question.
And I actually want to piggyback off of that real quick, because so you talked about having visually appealing imagery and whatnot with things that you're pinning. So one thing that I also want to mention about this is there are actually some really good. So a lot of people don't take advantage of this, but there are some really good tools. If you have any blog content that you're pushing out, publishing your own blog content, you want to make sure all of your content has the right social media images associated with it. And I don't just mean like, oh, I stuck it in it, I don't just mean like, oh, like I've got social share buttons and whatnot. The tool I actually want to recommend to everyone is it's a tool called Social Warfare. And it's a really, really, really good tool. Basically, the way that it works it actually does a lot of really good things. So it adds social share buttons to your site, which is really awesome. So they'll show like tweet count and things like that, things that were actually removed by Twitter. So they will show all of that, but you will also get a really awesome feature. So when you are putting together your blog post, they give you all of the sizes that you need for your images to show up on the your social media channels. For example, there's a dedicated image for Pinterest, a dedicated image for it's Pinterest. It's a main one that works on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and Google and so forth. Basically, what you do is you put all of those images into your blog post. They're not there visually when somebody is going to read your content, but when somebody goes to share it using the button, so they click the Pinterest button, it goes and pulls the right image for Pinterest. And the great thing is this will show up right there on that site, and it'll look great, and it'll be formatted properly because it actually it works. It's designed to pick up that image.
Is it free?
It's actually it's not free, but and I'm actually gonna double check it. I've been using this for a number of years. I don't think it's very, very, very cheap as far as how much it costs. Let me actually get the cost for everybody. So I think it's actually a couple of dollars. Let me see.
And I would say also Uptown Geneva that in addition to that site, if you use something like Canva, or there was even a tool. What was the tool that we did last week?
Design Feed, actually.
Designfeed.io, right? Wasn't that it?
Yeah.
Designfeed.io, that it automatically, you can take an image and have it automatically create the right social media size image of that same thing. So let's say you create a graphic that's Facebook size. You can, you click a button and it'll automatically size that same image for the other social media channels that you pick. So there's a couple things like that. Canva does it, but it's a little tricky with Canva. It'll do a similar thing. Canva.com, if you ever use that, it's pretty much free. It'll auto size it. It's called Magic Resize. And the thing is it resizes it, but it doesn't always have the dimensions are right, but the graphics aren't always where they need to be, and you have to kind of adjust them.
Yeah, so you basically have to recreate them in a way.
Canva, just like that, just like you did. Canva.com.
And there actually are two versions of Canva. There's the regular version of Canva, and we'll quickly talk about that. The regular version of Canva is actually free. It's free to sign up for, but the only thing is with Canva, it does not actually. You can use it for free. They give you some images for free, but you would have to buy images. The good thing is they're very cheap. They're only like $1, I think, a piece in some cases. So there's certain things that are free, certain things that are not. So there's a link, and there's also Canva at Work. So Canva at Work is an interesting one because if you are if you're a business and you have your own brand and whatnot, and you have all your logos and colors and all that sort of stuff, what's it called? If you use Canva at Work, you can put all that stuff into Canva at Work, and it'll be available for all of your team and whatnot using it. So we've got Canva at Work, Design Feed, which, as Vincent mentioned, it resizes, and then obviously Social Warfare. And somebody mentioned the links weren't working. I'd love to know which links were not working.
Yours weren't.
Which
yours
one?
Weren't showing up.
Oh, really?
The Design Feed one didn't show up.
Oh, that's weird. Huh. Interesting. But yeah, so those are some very useful tools. And by the way, so Stan mentioned, my buddy Stan here said, you did a blab on Thursdays about how to brand your blabs using Canva. Very, very cool.
Yeah, I have the Canva at Work one too. It allows you to do the branding and everything. So I guess I wasn't sure. The Magic Resize is only in the paid Canva at Work option, which is it's like less than $10 a year, I think, right? It's like a month. It's $110 for the year, I think. Yeah. You still have to pay for certain images. If you want to use in Canva, it's like $1 for a bunch of images. When you do a search, it'll pull up a lot. There'll be some free ones and some paid ones too that are $1 each.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you can also upload your own images into Canva that you find from other places. So you can. I used it for free for the first year and a half I was on it, and I had never had an issue, or I did everything I needed to. Once I switched over to Canva for Work, now we have multiple team members on it. We can all collaborate and stuff. So yeah, just a little sidetrack, but yeah, Canva's great. There's some other tools that are now coming out though that are kind of based on the same type of model that maybe have improved on it a little bit. But Canva's always trying to get better too.
So you've got as far as images, you have Canva, you have Design Feed that we talked about. You have let's see. So Canva at Work, Design Feed. Let's see. PicMonkey is another one. Let me actually find that one because there's actually some really good tools.
PicMonkey. Yeah, of course.
And actually, the interesting thing is all of these tools, they're I will say this, they're very low cost. If you want to use, for instance, Canva, it's cheap to use. You can go in there and, design some basic stuff and use some of their free images. As Vincent mentioned, you can upload your own. One thing you do have to keep in mind with their images, you may spend $1 for an image, If you want to reuse that image for other designs, for instance, you do have to buy another license. But I'll put it in this context. It's $1 an image. If you were to go buy any other images on, say, a stock photo site, such as, like Getty and all these other companies that own, have just great stock photos, you're going to pay a lot more than that. You might pay, 60, maybe even $200 just for an image, which is pretty crazy.
Or you have to pay for a certain number of credits.
Yeah.
It's several $100s and you get this many credits, and that's good for, like one credit is worth a photo or something. Depends.
Yeah. And actually, I'm going to put a couple of links in there for everybody. One actually is a link to some other tools. So it's Canva. It talks about PicMonkey. Buffer, Pablo by Buffer is also another really good one for doing that as well. We also have one that we're going to share in a minute. Actually, it's a new one for today. So those are some ones that we recommend for creating images. And as I mentioned, definitely check out Social Warfare. So you could basically do it like this. You could create all your images for your social media channels, put them, whether it's Pinterest or Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, any of the channels. You basically create all of them within one of these tools, whether it's Canva or Design Feed, PicMonkey, or any of those. And then once you have them done, you save them and you upload them to your blog post, and you've got all your images ready for you. So I definitely would recommend checking those tools out. And Social Warfare, by the way, I use it on my site. It's one of my favorite, absolute favorite tools. So, so with that, are we on to? Do we have another question, Vincent, or do we have? Sorry, do we have another topic, or are we on to? We're on to tools, actually.
Mm-hmm.
We're into tools, huh? Okay. I actually have. Let's talk about tools. So 3 tools that I want to recommend for business owners. So tool number 1 for the week is a tool called Crate for Buffer. It's actually really interesting. I think a lot of this stuff kind of really segues together nicely. So tool number 1, it's called Crate for Buffer. You might even see called Crate, but basically what it does is it lets you create a basically it lets you pull in RSS feeds from different sites. You can create like crates of different types of content, and you can buffer them into your Buffer account. I've been testing it out. It works pretty well. It's kind of neat once you do log into this tool. And by the way, it was free. I can't find pricing. It looks like it's free, but basically, once you log in to use it, it's actually kind of neat because they will recommend content to you based on the things you're sharing or things that are popular in your network. So if you're looking for a good content curation tool, it's a good way to use that. And Team Crate on Twitter. Thanks a lot for that one, Vincent. We should actually mention them.
I was trying to get on it earlier, and it was like thinking for a while, and so I didn't really get into it to check it out. But certainly, from the description of what it does, I mean, It seemed like it's something that could be really useful. It's a combination of a few different kind of curation tools.
Yeah, and that's the key thing. Yeah, it's a curation tool. And then the other thing that is also kind of neat with, and this is I'm actually logged into it right now. The other thing that I think is really cool about this is it's not just I log in and I see there's a lot of tools out there that will recommend content, but they all recommend the same content. It's all it's like, hey, this is being pulled from Google News or whatnot, right? So what's really neat about Crate is, like I said, you can build your own crates, but then they also show you how many social shares these things are getting. So you're seeing like the article title, they're pulling in an image, what site it's from, and then you're seeing how many social shares it has there. And you can decide if you want to share it or you can buffer it right into Buffer.
Yeah, and it makes sense that it ties to Buffer too, because what it really reminded me of, for anyone that uses Buffer, I'm gonna say it right now, I don't use Hootsuite. I never really have. So I don't know if it has this feature, probably does. Someone else, you can confirm this, Christian, or someone else can. But in Buffer, you can input RSS feeds, and you get up to like on the business account I have, it's the lower one for like $10 a month. So I get 15 feeds per account that I can put in RSS feeds from websites, and then you can just go to the feeds, pick what you want to do, the tweet you want to send out, the link, and all that, and it's out. So this reminded me of the feed section in Buffer, kind of like expanded. like more robust. You can do more with it. The analytics, like you said, there's the keywords and all that type of stuff. So
absolutely, and I will confirm that yes, Buffer has a feature where you can pull in RSS feeds, but it's like Crate's there, and it's like Crate kind of takes things to they take things up a notch. So you do get a fair amount more functionality with that tool. So
yep.
I'd recommend checking that one out. But that's tool number one. By the way, as I move into the second tool, I did want to mention real quick also, for anybody who is looking to use Canva or you already are using Canva, there are a ton of keyboard shortcuts available. And I'm actually going to give you guys a link because I actually have an infographic showing you all these keyboard shortcuts. By the way, dueling designs, yes. Sounds a bit like Buffer with some Feedly features, yes. Absolutely, it's very similar to the two. I'm not sure what direction they're going to go. Like I said, they don't charge for it, or they don't seem to charge for it yet. So who knows if they are going to, come out, as another tool and say, hey, it's $100 a year or something. But for now, it's.
But I'm glad someone did it. I mean, I love that. I use that feature all the time, the feeds feature in Buffer, and I'm glad that this now exists that will kind of augment that even more.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, it's a very good. I actually we've actually talked, I think, about a number of tools that kind of tie into Buffer. I like that there's a lot of tools coming out that are able to integrate with Buffer to where, they can do things and you can just dump them right into Buffer. So, by the way, Ben, the website for Crate is here. I'll actually give you the link. That one or that one, either one. If one doesn't work, you got the other one. So let me see what else we got here. Sorry, just reading through some of the questions and comments.
So just to kind of put a bow on it, for if we want to kind of relate this back to a business use. I mean, certainly Buffer, Hootsuite, any of those social media management platforms are going to save you time if you're managing your own social media marketing. They're going to allow you to actually do it yourself in a way. And something like this, because it ties into Buffer, it's not necessarily that much of an extra where you're using all these different platforms. It's because it ties into Buffer. I think it would just either be a wash in terms of the time saved, or it might even save you a little bit more time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the key thing to also kind of look at with a lot of these tools. I mean, there's so many different dashboards out there. Like Hootsuite's one that has, they do certain functionality fairly well, and then they do certain functionality that's not so great.
Yeah.
Buffer does things a certain way. I look at it honestly as more of like an ease of use thing. I want to be using a tool that is going to help save time, and it may require a little bit of extra upfront time to kind of learn how things kind of work. But sorry, I was reading through some of the comments here. It may require a little extra time to set it up, and kind of understand how it works. But once you get it set up, it is a dream to use. And it's all about really getting your workflow organized and working in a way that that works for you versus just having all these tools, because you could have all these different tools, but if you're spending all your time in tools and they're not actually helping you push content out or save time by creating images and things like that, they're not really going to help you very much. So
right.
I'm going to keep moving here. I got two other tools here real quick. But tool number 2 for today is called Mural.
And this is one of those, the one you were talking about that's similar to, in the same realm as the Canvas of the world and Design Feed.
Yeah, let me see what's going on with my links here. Oh, I forgot to put the colon. Sorry about that, guys. There's this link. Sorry about that. There you go. So this is so what is Mural? So it's basically a way for you to work remotely, do online brainstorming and collaboration with your team. Basically, people could put stuff up on Mural and basically create almost like a big whiteboard. It's a little pricey. It's for a startup, for instance, it's 5 members, it's $300 a year, $30 a month. But it does help you. I mean, if you've got a lot of stuff you need to put up. For instance, you get project rooms, so you could have like almost like teams move from room to room to room and have ideas on one and ideas on another and another and another. You get some visual thinking tools, some collaboration tools. In some cases, if you move to their business, you get some custom templates and guest accounts and things like that. If you have a lot of, if you work with a lot of designers and things like that. So that's tool number 2.
Is that though? Here's the thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like a visual version of Slack, right? But I was trying to look around inside. I couldn't really find if it right now does it tie into Slack either, or would it? I mean, because you know what I mean. Like I don't know. I feel like in Slack there's probably something that ties into Slack that you would maybe use instead of this, where it's all in one place. But I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing that out there. I don't know officially.
I haven't tried to actually integrate it with Slack. But I
don't know if it does. I mean, that's why I was looking in Mural on the site. It's like I couldn't really find it to see if it did that. And then in Slack, I didn't see it.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that they probably would not integrate, just because they're very similar tools. And the fact that like this is essentially like a whiteboard, almost a visual whiteboard where you can you can pull images and links and different content and build something. In this tool, while Slack, is more like a communication tool, and you can have some of those things. So it seems like they're more like competitors. So I would say, this is, from a business perspective, this is this is not going to be a tool that everyone's going to want to use. You've got a lot of options obviously out there, but it's very good if you have a lot of things that, if you have wireframes or mock-ups or things like that, you want to, that you want to make it easy for you to collaborate with your team on. And a lot of times what people will do is, they'll do this. They'll, they can put them in a Google Drive or in a Dropbox or things like that and share, files, but it doesn't necessarily like let somebody kind of convey like, well, what it is that I'm kind of going for here.
See, I think in Google Drive, they have the drawing thing that you can collaborate on, but it's not anything close to what this offers in terms of the actual images and what you can create. Where this is like very more so not artsy, but there's just more you can do in it as opposed to the Google Drive option.
Absolutely. So I would recommend. Here's the thing: from a business standpoint, it's not actually that expensive. I think, you kind of have to look at how you run your business. If you're a one-person operation, you got 2 people that are working, you probably aren't going to use something like this. But if you run an agency and you have a lot of people that you're constantly having to kind of use this with, that's something that you are going to want to, probably investigate and try out. Like I said, I use it personally. I think it works great. But again, I also use it in a business setting. So, outside of just like running, an agency, we use it, I use it with a much larger company. So, in that case, it works great. But some people, I'd recommend testing it out first.
Hey, Lorena, thanks for joining in. Welcome to our blab.
So let's keep going here. What do we got? Third tool. This was actually kind of interesting. So I have an idea of how this would actually be useful for business. Free tool, but I want to kind of hear from everybody. What are your thoughts on this tool? Because it's a free app. This is an iOS version, but basically it's called Shorts. And what it is it's a tool to let you share your camera roll with people. Now, obviously, when you think of that, people are thinking, well, I'm going to share it with my friends and I'm going to share it with my family. And when I upload photos and things like that, they're going to be able to see it, which, is pretty nice. Basically, in a way, it's almost like creating almost like a little social network where you can visually see, what your friends are sharing and things like that through this app. And basically, though, it's pulling it from your camera roll. And it's not just taking everything. You basically decide what goes up and what does not go up. Pretty neat little app. It's actually free. It's by the people that made the app called Highlight, for anybody that has anybody that used to use that one. So my thoughts on how you could use this from a business perspective are this. So if I am a business and I'm working with my team, a lot of times what are people doing? They're not creating shared folders within their, on their devices. They're not over there. Typically they're going to email pictures back and forth to one another. They might put them up on Dropbox possibly, but I would think that this could be a very useful tool if you are working with a team and you're at an event and you need to be able to share content with one another. You could use this because you could quickly pick, what photos need to go up, and you could share them using Shorts. So, Vincent, what are your thoughts on this? You have any other suggestions?
Yeah, I mean, initially it was. I think a lot of people would be scared by this app,
Right?
to be honest. I think the majority of people won't use it until they maybe see other people using it. It's because that's how I felt about it when I saw it and I started getting into it. I didn't go all the way through to even sign up because I was just like, let me just see what Christian thinks first, because I not that I have really honestly like my camera roll. There's nothing bad on my camera roll. I just don't know what it's gonna do.
Feels like privacy in a way.
Yeah, well, I would think so, and I would think a lot of people would think that way. So, business-wise, you went into it and created and signed up and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, can you pick who you share your camera roll with?
You can go ahead and pick, yeah.
Okay. So then that eliminates kind of once you find that out. See, for me, that's the big thing. If you can share, it's not like someone can just add you because they're close by, or they can find your username and then just add you and see your camera roll without your permission.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, so that's the big thing. So as long as that's in place, then there's really not a problem. Right. For Uptown Geneva can also, I mean, copyright images on the camera roll. So again, that'll go back to who you allow to connect with you on there. So the problem would be if someone leaves the company or leaves the business that you are connected to. But I think that's the same with anything else. If that person is an admin on your Facebook page, it's the same problem. You have to kind of walk the line of, well, when do you take them off as an admin on your Facebook page once you know that they're not going to be with you anymore? Is it acrimonious? Is it friendly? I mean, all those factors. So I think that's just another thing that you would want to consider. But certainly, I think there would be value if you're working on a team, like you said, Christian. If there's a team, you're on a marketing team, let's say, you have multiple social media people, multiple people handling the blog and all that, and say I'm at an event. Now this is basically like long distance airdrop on iOS. And that's what it is, right? Because you're like, you could be somewhere across the country. You could be in DC like you are, and we're both on the app, and you can take a picture, and then I have access to it right there, and just, you don't have to email it. We don't have to worry about it being too big or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm going to say, definitely, when I first started signing up for this, I was very skeptical because I was like, I feel it feels uncomfortable to share, to give somebody access to my camera roll because, not like I said, like you said, not that you have anything you want to hide. It's right. It feels sort of like a violation of your privacy, like saying, oh, hey, it's out there. What's going to happen to it now? Like who can access it and things like that.
Well, and there are times, there's times where you're on Snapchat, let's say. I screenshot stuff on Snapchat all the time, and not that it's bad, but it's just something that's private. Like I consider private, that I don't want someone to know that like I screenshotted that for another reason. Like, and again, it's not a bad reason. It's just I'm doing it as a surprise joke or gift or something, and now that person can see that I, and they get clued in. I mean, there's all these different factors tied in. But again, if you can control who sees it, and especially if you can control that whenever you want. I think that's a big key too, because if you can kind of toggle it on and off as far as the access for other people specifically, then that's a big thing.
And by the way, so it's very interesting. So we've kind of been playing off a lot of things we've talked about before. So when I initially thought of this, when I saw this app that was available, like I said, it's a free app. It reminded me of Rando. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
And so this is not a business tool at all. This other tool we're going to talk about just real quick. It's called Rando. Basically, though, the way that it works is it doesn't let you pick what is being shared. So it's like it randomly picks something and shares it with people. And so that tool, for instance, we saw that and we're like, hey, what's the value in this? Because, it seems like, oh, it could be kind of cool, but you don't know what's going to share and you have no clue what content.
And it's kind of fun though. And to an extent, I mean, it actually gives you the option, right? It gives you the option of, can you see what you're going to share? Or do you want to just send it blindly to someone?
Yeah.
And you can pick like who it goes to, but it's all optional. So, I mean, if it wasn't optional, I just don't know how much life it would have or how many people would even download it in the first place, because the initial idea would be such a turnoff for so many people that it wouldn't be worth it.
Absolutely. So before we wrap things up, by the way, so just a quick recap for everybody. We talked about Twitter first view ads. That basically is a way for you to get at the top of somebody's Twitter stream for 24 hours. We talked about Pinterest promoted pins and how they're now available for all SMBs. So if you're looking to get, if you're looking to get better exposure on Pinterest, consider using that. With that, we talked about social warfare, which can, it's a way to basically add images to your blog for all of your social media channels. This way, you basically, instead of just uploading images and they look really bad, you basically put them all into the social warfare plugin, which is in your WordPress dashboard. And they will then be pulled when somebody goes to share to a particular network. So for example, if it's Pinterest and you upload an image for Pinterest, it will automatically pull it from there. You don't have to put it in your content or any of that stuff. It does it all for you. It also adds social share buttons, click to tweet, all that sort of stuff as well. Lastly, we talked about Instagram's new algorithmic feed, where they're going to start to showcase every single, they're going to show things based on like what they think you want to see. So those are the social media news for the week. One other thing I did want to actually just mention real quick, and I am actually going to do a write-up on this. It'll be available on my blog, probably going out tomorrow. But basically, it's also a new feature for Facebook profiles. It's called Pick Frames. It's a way for you to add branding to your Facebook profile. From a business standpoint, I can see this being very useful. I'll talk about that on my blog. And lastly, we talked about 3 tools. We talked about Create for Buffer to help you curate content from blogs and keywords and whatnot, and share it or add it to your buffer queue. Mural, a way to do visual whiteboards with your team to get some ideas and whatnot. And lastly, Shorts. And Shorts was an app to let you share your camera roll. So with that, I don't have anything else to say. Do you have anything, Vincent, you want to bring up?
No. The Facebook pick profile thing, I put that on mine on Facebook and tied it to March Madness, to college basketball.
So which one do you use?
Which one? For the week I put on the Providence College Friars, because that's my original hometown team.
Very cool. Very cool. So yeah, I'll do a write up on that.
Yeah.
That's
cool. Exactly. And Michael, we were just talking about the why not share photos on Facebook, why use Shorts. That's kind of what we were alluding to. Is it would have a specific use of, say you're on part of a team and you want to share an image, rather than post it to Facebook and have someone have to go and download it and have it be, public or whatever. You can just send it to each other within the app immediately, the same way the AirDrop would work on, say, iOS. And you don't have to worry about emailing it either. So file size, that sort of a thing.
So with that, by the way, guys, I just want to mention I did drop a link in. I'm not really sure why it's working for you, Cue the Brand.
It didn't work. That one didn't work.
I think Blab is adding additional parameters to the URL. So let me try that again, actually.
Michael, why not email it? Well, it's say you don't have access to email. That's one thing. The files could be too big. They could be high-res photos. There's any number of reasons why this may be a better option. I'm not, we're not saying like, okay, this is the way to go, but certainly it's a tool worth checking out if it makes sense for your business or for your team. It's worth it. It's worth trying out.
By the way, Vincent, are those links working for you? I'm not really sure what's going on here with Blab. I think they're.
We do have time to answer your question. What is it? What's your question about Snapchat? Since we're working on these links. No, that link didn't work. Is there just the regular link to the Blab or no?
Yeah.
Or is that?
Yeah, let me get that. Yeah, so it does look like Blab is actually adding parameters to the URL, which is not going to make it work. So let me get the link for next week.
Oh,
that was nice.
Ah! Snapchat will develop as a business tool. Is that the question? If it will develop as a business tool for conversions? I'll jump on this one, Christian, for Snapchat. I definitely think it will continue to develop. It's too big at this point not to continue to develop, and it already is developed. Yeah, Jose is in here. Jose knows this stuff too. It's definitely developing. So one thing you can kind of point to is they formed this partnership with Viacom. Viacom is going to essentially take over the reins on the sales side, and that's going to allow the developers of the app to focus not so much on making money, but on developing the parts of the app that will potentially make money and grow the app and continue to make it more fun. We all love Snapchat, right, Q? I mean, not everybody in here, I don't think, but it's definitely popular. It already is developing, so that partnership with Viacom was a big deal. I can't remember the guy, but they just hired a VP of is it product development? Jose, where are you in here?
Yeah, I
confirm if I'm right. Yeah, Christian, did you see that?
Yeah, it was what was it? It was a major company. Who was it?
It was from like another platform, right? Like another social platform or something. Like it was.
I want to say Pandora, actually.
If you say, yeah, it was Pandora. Actually, it was Pandora. So they've hired a VP of product development. Yes, thanks, Jose. We got confirmation, so that's official. So that's big. I mean, they're bringing on people from other places that know what they're doing, that are going to help develop it. The conversions, you can make conversions happen on Snapchat right now. Believe it or not, I know that rumor is out there, or the myth is out there that you really can't do that, but you absolutely can. So here's how: in a snap, put a trackable URL. It's as simple as that. Put a trackable URL. Now, someone can't click on it in the snap, but if it's worthwhile enough, they will go to it. Or put your website. Put a nice, easy to remember link to your website. Those are just a couple of really easy ways to see if it works. Maybe it won't work for you. It depends on your business too. It depends on your audience, but it's worth trying. It's free, number one. You're doing that already. Perfect. So how is that working out for you? Is it working? You're not sure. Okay. Well, how come you're not sure? So you're posting the links, and are you just not kind of paying attention to the analytics? If you in Europe use Snapchat, and your audience is in Europe, I'm guessing. You don't have American audience. Okay. So I would say continue to try it and see, because the audience is growing. It's going to continue to grow. And while they may not be there yet, it's better to be proactive than reactive and to already exist on the platform. If you think your audience will be using that, and that's typically who your audience is like maybe 18 to 34 is a really good audience for you. Be there when they get there. That's what you want to do, so that you can say, oh, follow us on Snapchat. We're already ready to go. We've been going on Snapchat. You guys know what you're doing already, and you're pros at it. And then when your audience gets there, because they're going to get there, you're ready, and you're already killing it there. The analytics and all that are going to come for sure. That's all coming, without a doubt. I would say, and Christian and Jose, Q, if you're in here still, I mean, I would venture to say within this year, there's going to be major updates in terms of analytics, because that's just the big next step. I think that's what everybody's clamoring for in terms of the marketers and the brands. Mm-hmm. It's a little too radical. It can be. Yeah, look, there's definitely we experience it here. Even though we have all these users on it still, hundreds of millions of people on it, it's still there's still a bias against it, and people have that stereotype against it as thinking it's just for teenagers, it's just for sexting, it's just for all this bad stuff. And if you just even go on Snapchat, look at all the brands that are in the Discover section that are paying crazy money to be in there on a daily basis, on an annual basis, on a monthly basis. Never mind the ones that all have accounts that are, I don't think they continue to use it if they weren't seeing results. So again, it all comes back to who your audience is and where you think your audience will be even in the future. If you don't think they're going to be on Snapchat, then maybe it's not worth your time right now. Maybe you're one of those businesses. It's really not worth your time. That's the case with any platform, though. Really, the only platform I would say right now is Facebook, that you kind of have to have some sort of presence on Facebook if you're doing social media marketing. Personally, I would put Snapchat very, very close to that, even above Twitter at this point, in terms of having a social media presence. If not regardless of the type of business you have, but it's certainly it's important. It's important to be there.
Absolutely. And that is absolutely a great point, is that with any of the social platforms, I mean, if you don't, you need to look at them, you need to evaluate them, but you want to also look at your competitors. So, if you're like, hey, I don't know if I should be on Snapchat, look at some of the people that are in your space. It might not be, if you run a small business, it might not be, your competitor that, has a store across the street from you, because they might not be up on social. But look at what some of the, major brands are using and what they're doing with it, and see if that's actually a strategy that you can, I don't want to say copy, but something that you can actually learn from and adapt to your business. And then you also have to look at, which is probably the main thing, which is you have to have the manpower and the content. And a lot of times, the content is there. It then comes down to, well, there's just not enough hours in the day to do all that work. So you just kind of have to assess your value, and don't be afraid to actually ask your audience. You've got these social channels, you've built up an engaged audience. Ask them what they actually use. Most of the time they're probably going to say, hey, I use Facebook, but you are going to get, depending on your industry, you are going to get people that are saying, hey, I use Snapchat all the time, or I use Instagram, or hey, they do use Twitter. But, don't be afraid to survey your audience, ask them and find out, and then give them what they want. So
I would also throw in there, we can't have this conversation without mentioning the new on-demand geo filters,
right?
Because that is a huge game changer, because it's so easy and can be relatively inexpensive. There's ways around paying all these crazy dollars for putting branding of your own on Snapchat. For instance, you can just put an on-demand geofilter right around your location. Now, Europe, I'm not totally sure it's available there, so I don't know. But here, right now, you can put a geofence around your business, let's say, for the day or for a couple hours or even for a week, but that gets expensive. The on-demand geofilter is when you go on Snapchat, you guys use Snapchat Uptown. When you take a snap, and you then slide to the right or left, and you see the filters, the geo filters that will come up. I'm assuming you guys have these too, of a city or a neighborhood or a landmark or even I don't know, maybe a country. I mean, whatever it is, the event. So you can make your own now. You pay, but you can make your own. For instance, I tested it out. I made one around my house for like 2 hours. I created it in Canva, made a transparent PNG, and put up for 2 hours. It was $5. Now that was because it was around my house for 2 hours. I'm creating a couple right now for our company, for our convention that's going to be in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand. So we're pricing that out. We're trying to see what the price is going to be for different times and different lengths of time and different locations, but primarily around the MGM Grand, which is the biggest hotel in Vegas, in the country, actually. It's like a couple $100 for the morning, say 8 to 12. So that's for a couple $100, we could have 10,000 people, or the opportunity for at least a couple thousand people that are on Snapchat, putting our brand, which they're all enthusiastic about anyway, putting our brand on Snapchat and snapping it out, and then even maybe saving it, posting it in other places. Like I do that on Twitter, on Facebook. I post those images other places. And you get some analytics on that too, even right now. They give you how many times the filter's been used and also how many impressions you received. So there are even some analytics for the geo filters that you make. But yeah, it's so new, but if you can get in on it now and learn how to do it and really start taking advantage of it, I've seen a lot of people. Gary Vaynerchuk, Q was there. Gary Vaynerchuk, he makes all his own filters all the time now. There's a lot of companies that are doing that. So it's a really good opportunity. Yeah, check it out. Do a Google search for Snapchat on-demand geo filters, and it's on their blog. It's on the Snapchat blog, and it talks all about it, the dimensions, how to build it, and all that.
And by the way, yeah, and Stan Bush, thanks very much for sharing that. Yeah, we actually talked about them a while ago, a couple episodes ago, I think, like about 3 episodes ago. Yeah, so there's an article there as well with some links to everything you need there.
Here's an example of a geo filter. Just so, like, I took a picture, right, and then that's a geo filter. That's a geo filter. I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona, so the city has this one, or someone made that one. There's another one for Scottsdale. Here's one for St. Patrick's Day, Jameson's. So that's what those are.
So with that, I do want to ask just 2 last things real quick. We're going to wrap things up. So one thing that I would love to hear from everyone, I'd love to hear some feedback on what you think about us moving the show. So for example, we moved it from Friday to Thursday. We're also trying to really get more focused on sharing social media news and tools that your business can use versus just sharing, hey, what's going on in social media. One, if you have any feedback on that, feel free to send me a tweet at Social Chefs. That's the name actually here on the window. It's at SOCIALCHEFS. You can also send one to Vincent and use hashtag social chatter, and we'll be sure to respond to them. So we want to get your feedback on that. And then lastly, if anybody wants to be notified the day of when we're about to go live, what some of the topics are going to be, feel free to text social chatter to 33444. Basically, that's going to get you on our Blab email list. At that point, you'll get an email that will have that will mention all the topics we're going to talk about, and it'll give you a link to the blog post that will go out as well, which has a recap to everything. And I'm going to put that here in the chat actually for everybody. So with that, though, I want to say thank you so much, Vincent. Any parting words for everyone?
No, that was it. I got my Snapchat stuff in.
And I'm sorry we're late tonight, guys. We had a couple of technical glitches and whatnot, but we're going to make sure we are on time, 5 p.m. next Thursday.
Yeah. Thanks, Jose. And thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Be safe.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Later.